A lot of people are concerned with this recent hantavirus outbreak, especially after what we lived through in 2020. So there's a cruise ship where many people have been affected, and there's also a case unrelated in France, 2 cases in Europe supposedly. So it brings a lot of questions up. There's a lot of fear and anxiety, especially after all that we've lived through in a post-2020 world, living through the lockdowns, living through the chaos. Tonight, as we go on this walk, we're going to discuss this recent hantavirus outbreak and what you can do to protect your everyday life. Hello everyone, I am Michael and I help guide people on the evolutionary journey. This time that we're living through, it's been one of the most intense times in the history of humanity, and so many people, they lived through so much. Through the first pandemic, through every experience that you might have had, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And that's what we discuss here, all 3 phases of life. And there are many people that are very fearful about this recent hantavirus outbreak. Seeing, the people that are on the cruise ship, and now more reports of a person in France and possibly 2 people in Europe that are unrelated to that cruise ship. So many are questioning, reliving, bringing up traumas from what we all lived through, and we remember, how that all started several years prior. So during this walk tonight, we want to discuss what are the things that we're actually in control of. And regardless of, maybe this just goes away, or maybe this is something that we'll all have to deal with on our journey, it's always a good time, but now is the best time to really be focused on our physical health and our mental health. So, as people, they get sick from these outbreaks. First of all, I hear a lot about these outbreaks on cruise ships. All right, that's why I have no desire to go on a cruise ship. I don't know if you're like me. Okay, I don't go on a cruise ship, and this has been a thing for many years. All right, so the best thing to do is spend time out in nature, and you're going to want to make sure that your immune system is working properly. In the modern life, there are many things that the modern lifestyle, it actually compromises our God-given immune system. So it's very important to make sure that we're eating right, we're getting plenty of nature, grounding the negative ions of the planet, grounding our nervous system, right? So just like how you have an immune system, our nervous system is the driving force for all of the systems of the body. All right, so if you are in a state of fear, if you're in a state of a lot of anxiety, the immune system is actually going to drop. So now, even upon hearing this news and remembering, I know a lot of trauma is coming up from our community. We have a tremendous community on Facebook. You can hit me up on Facebook, and we post about this all day long. As the traumas begin to rise up, it's important to realize that you're going to have to know that in this reality where the world that we lived in it's not going back, and it's a very intense time, and it's almost like there's a great purge of the world, and the earth itself is purging. So we see a lot of these outbreaks. We see a lot of dis-ease, right, that has been coming up. Maybe it hasn't been part of our lives in the past, and we come face to face with these, trials and tribulations, things that we never had to deal with years ago. And now, because it is so intense, it gives us the opportunity to take ownership of our health and wellness, and a time to self-reflect on what are the things that are important in our everyday life. All right, what's truthfully important? And a lot of people, they don't have time to be out in nature. And the more that you separate yourself from the negativity, when you are doing certain activities, when you're living a lifestyle, it's not just a diet, but when you're living a lifestyle daily that is going to actually support your immune system, your mental health, and your nervous system. A lot of people neglect the power of the nervous system, but it is a driving force for everything in your life. And if you are in a chronic fight or flight situation, your immune system, therefore, will be weaker. Years ago, right, people had stress. The energy of the body went to fight or flight, to maybe run away from an animal. But in the modern society, the immune system, it's getting weaker because so many people, you know, they have all of these stresses, they have these traumas, they have these dramas from the modern life, and the energy is not going to the immune system, right? The energy is going toward that fight or flight. Years ago, right, if there was an animal chasing you down, the top priority, this is how our systems are wired, right, for many years, all of the energy is going to running away from the threat. But in the modern society, it's not acute, it is chronic. And now people are constantly in that state, and therefore that energy is not going to the immune system to make them strong. All right, so obviously, if you're able to reduce stress, you know, in the past, we didn't have stresses in the workplace. Maybe you have stresses from narcissistic relationships. Anything in your life, these things cause stress, and it could weaken your immune system and your ability to respond. The blood of the body that goes to the brain will go to different portions of the brain according to your overall frequency. If you're in the love state, it goes to a different place where you're able to critically think and rationally think. And we've seen that in the past, where when fear goes up, right? When fear goes up, people aren't thinking critically. People aren't thinking rationally, because it's in our nature to go to survival. And hearing, you know, this very troubling news, you know, people are very concerned. You know, what's going to happen? Is this going to be widespread? How is it going to affect our everyday life? Well, in our lives, we cannot control what is around us. However, we can control from within. So if we go in the inside first, and some people have shared about their journey of health and wellness, overcoming, you know, when you get sick, you want to make sure that you're running like a well-oiled machine. And if you're eating right, if you're out in nature, which is actually important for the immune system, this is called grounding, what I'm doing. And a lot of people suffer from nature's deficit disorder. And being able to breathe in the fresh air. Many people, you know, in the world, they might be in the city, they might be loaded with pollution, and they're not actually breathing in, you know, fresh air, and they're not getting the grounding. They put the rubber soles on, they report to the workplace all day, and then they're loaded with stress, which also lowers the immune system. Now is a time period before, I shared this phrase many times, and that's why I'm here today. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So you know, and you can recall maybe how things played out. We're seeing how quantum shifts actually happen. And, you know, this matrix reality, it is a real thing. And when you look at the synchronicities, you know, you could almost go back to the past. You know, I saw an interesting reel on Facebook, how they literally discussed this in the X-Files many years ago in an episode. You could check that out on Facebook. And that was a very interesting synchronicity. And now we see it play out right before our very eyes. So there is a very strange attribute to this quantum reality that we live in, the very strange matrix that we live in. But it's time to disconnect. Anything that pumps fear into your everyday life, you need to clear it and you need to remove it, and you're going to have to do it now. And you might want to do it with a sense of urgency. Some people, they say, you know, someday I'll deal with my health and wellness. Someday I'll work out. Someday I'll do this. Someday I'll cancel my cable bill. Every one of these things. Well, let this be the message for you. today is that day. This is day one. You know, every day is another opportunity for greatness. Every day is another opportunity to take back control of your everyday life. And I recall all the traumas. I lived through many traumas. I had many crazy situations. If you'd like to learn more about it, and you can click subscribe and learn all about my journey. And I show the world how, if you have faith in God, right? If you have the inexhaustible belief in yourself, if you carry a frequency, which means daily habits, right? Not I'm going to take a multivitamin, not I'm going to do it one time. It's everyday life. And that's consistency, and you're going to have resiliency, and you move forward with authenticity. And when it comes to authenticity, a lot of people aren't eating authentic foods. They're eating processed foods, and their nervous system is off. Their immune system is compromised. It's not running like a well-oiled machine. These are the things that you want to be focused on. If you have any questions, you could head over to the playlist for health on the channel page for our everyday lives. You could check that out. And you want to really focus on the things that actually raise your vibrational frequency. All right? And, you know, in our lives, we have to remember, okay, opportunistic pathogens cannot take up harbor in a higher vibrational situation. Now, taking up harbor, you know, sometimes in our lives, and listen, we all, you know, come down with things, you know, we come down with the cold, so on and so forth. But, you know, some people like myself, you might be able to maybe get over it in a day or two. And in order to be able to have your health and wellness as your top priority, you have to look at all aspects of your life. And you have to remember this, all right? It's what you're consuming, right? What are you consuming? What's the drink? What's the food? However, light warriors, what you consume is not only what you eat and drink. It's what you watch and what you listen to. So now, more than ever, what are the things that you're gonna watch and listen to? I've shared this with the community in recent times. My soul has been feeling it, and now we have an everyday life example that has popped up. You know, and I'll see, you know, certain people that maybe will produce some content. It's very fear-based, right? It gets a lot of clicks, right? And it causes a lot of fear and anxiety. And we're not gonna do that here, right? We're gonna raise the vibrational frequency for all people. All right, and if it's resonating with you, I appreciate if you click the like button on this video, and let's improve the quality of everyone's life. But this hantavirus scare, it's disturbing. It's disturbing, especially when you've already lived through something like this, and you remember the story, and so the traumas from you heard, you know, what was happening actually in 2019, and then went into 2020. You heard the stories, and then it segued, and then it got bigger and bigger, right? So what's happening right now, right? The traumas in your body, it's coming up to the surface. Oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember when they shut everything down. Oh, I remember all the fear, and you don't want this to happen again, right? So in our lives, that's why we need to be warriors, and we have to, number one, focus on the inside or our inner world, so that when we navigate the outer world is actually a result of the inner world. So if many people are very positive, if many people are not living in fear about this recent situation, and I feel we're in a place in society that a lot of people have done some inner work and research over the past few years. I don't feel that, you know, we're in the same place. That's why it's important to, number one, get the message out. Number two, do the inner work. And number three, have the personal relationship with God. Because if God is for you, who could be against you? So it is a very trying time, and, you know, we all see people that have been getting sick over the past few years, and just utilize this. Don't be overwhelmed with the fear. but utilize this moment in time, this moment in history, because a lot of people that have been watching this channel, and now that we see this now starting to happen, what did we say? This is year one, right? So the whole world is being reset this year. If you have any questions, you can watch my videos on this year one, the year of the fire horse. The year of the fire horse, where the matrix gets burnt to the ground. This is the Holy Spirit fire. It's blazing, light warriors. And we do this every single day, 9 a.m. Eastern time, to help you become the greatest version of yourself. What are your thoughts on the Hantavirus outbreak? Are you living in fear, or are you an empowered light warrior that is strong, that's working on their health and wellness every single day, that's working on their nervous system every single day, so you're not overcome with fear and anxiety? It's a very powerful message. I love you all. This really, this has been a journey, light warriors, right? Look at me now, right? And sometimes in life, right, the last time it was really scary. So maybe think about it like this, those that have seen me grow. Maybe this is the next wave of opportunity for more people to break free of the matrix. This is the journey of self-discovery and remembering. Oh yeah, baby. Remember who you are. Remember the power that you possess. And remember, we cannot control what is around us. However, we can control from within. Be conscious that you have the power inside of you to overcome anything. Use this to raise your vibration and increase your electromagnetism. Life is so much better when we are all together. If you find this message inspiring or know someone that could benefit from it, please share this message. Dear ones, I am Michael. Find us in the 5th dimension. Have a wonderful day living your everyday life. You know, God gives us opportunities. And this is an opportunity for humanity to rise. I think many of you can see the writing on the wall. Know the intensity, know the importance of this now moment, and I hope that this message, the content, and the community here is going to help guide you through this very potent and energetic time period. I love you all. Stay focused on your family, and start thinking about what really matters in life. And you know, I've done some talks on that. Life is so precious. Allow this to be the day that you change. And you change your mode. You switch off fear. And you turn on unconditional love. I am the defender of our everyday lives. No matter what comes your way, light warriors, just keep going. We don't turn around. Full speed ahead.